Hi everyone, in this video we're going to talk about how to adjust the beds at K-State. We just got to Ford Hall and you can see the bed is located at the very top with both the desk and the dresser underneath of the bed. And my daughter had already decided before we got there that they did not want to sleep that high up to the ceiling and that we were going to adjust those beds to move them down lower. The first thing you're going to need to do is take the safety rail off, and to do that you just have to totally lift up this mattress. See, it's not being lifted on the right side, so it's not coming up. You got to get the whole thing lifted higher than the bar, and once you do that, that bar will just push forward and collapse, and then you can lift it up and move it off to the bathroom. It is best to do this before you have anything in your room, and if you are bringing stuff in your room, move them totally out of the way because you really need this floor space when you're making this change to your bed. Now once you get that bar off, you can go ahead and get the mattress off of the bed and also set it all the way off to the side. You kind of need the space right in front of the bed to work, so we're just taking ours over to kind of that bathroom area away from the beds. Then you need to remove these from the holes. We only found them on each of the beds, we only found them on two spots, so find where they are and go ahead and take those out and then set them off to the side as well. Then once you've done that, you're going to lift the bed. Now you've got to be able to lift this bed really high. I don't know if you can see it, but there are pins in between these two beds. And when you lift them, it will finally release. But if you're not lifting it high enough, that pin is in a hole. It's holding the two together. So watch, my husband's going to swap with my daughter. She couldn't quite get it high enough to clear that pin. And so he's going to come over and get it high. A lot of times those pins will fly out. You can kind of see it on the side she's on. It's still in there and the bed just lifted over it. A lot of times it actually, when you lift it, it actually flies out onto the floor. So it's important that you find all four of those. We just put ours over next to the bed, kind of under the bed for when we move out. And you can see she's just gathering them right here. Just the four metal pins that you just want to keep together. Okay, once you get the pins out and you have the two beds apart, you can turn the beds over on their side. So we're going to put the bed into this set of rails that are over by the wall because that's where the bed's going to go. We're going to turn it to the side only because we found it easier to work with it on its side. You could use it standing up, especially if you had like a mallet to push the things out of the bracket holes. But we didn't have that. We were doing this with no tools. So we just found it easier to work on its side. So we've got that one on its side. Now we're coming and we're turning the bed on its side. If you just try to pull that bed, the springs up out of there, chances are you're going to have a really hard time. I mean, it's really pushed down in there. We tried pulling. So instead we're just putting it on its side and then gently kicking the bottom frame and then just gently pushing with our hand this top frame. And that tended to be enough for us. You can see how just with a little bit of a push that came out, and the same on the opposite side. And look, just a really light kick, nothing hard at all. Just a small kick will just get it out of the hole. And that'll just get that bed out of this other frame because we need to put it now in the one set of rails that we're keeping because this is only going to go about 30 or so inches above. So once you get the bed out of that, just set those railings off to the side. We're not using those. And then bring this bed springs, bring that over to your actual bed and just kind of get it lined up. It's going to go in the top couple holes, but there is one other thing you're going to have to do before you can do that. And that's removing the support bar. So you can just gently kick. Again, if you have a rubber mallet, you could just knock it, on the bottom to get it out of the bracket. But just get it out of one side, leave it in the other. And once you do that, you'll be able to set these springs and the brackets into the bracket holes. So we're lining it up on the one side. It goes in the top two holes on each. That's where we want it. The reason we want it in the top two brackets is that will give us enough height under the bed to still fit the dresser. We won't be able to put the desk under there. Well, the desk would fit, but you wouldn't be able to, sit at it or have anything above it or work on top of it. So the desk will come out, but we will be able to fit the dresser, and then we were able to fit two additional pretty wide storage spaces. The website shows the length of the extra long twin bed, and that's what we looked at ahead of time, so we knew that we would be able to fit everything we were wanting to under our bed. Now, once you get this over to the other side, because the two brackets are in on the one side of the bed, we're lining up the two brackets on this side, and we also have that support bar kind of lined up. It's one of those things you're kind of trying to do them all at the same time, because that way they'll easily just tap in. You can't do one and then try to get the other one in. So we've kind of got them all lined up, and then now we just kind of push them into those holes, just keeping that bracket where it was. You can see he's kind of giving a little bit of a tap to get that back in there. One thing you should know about the K-State dorms is that whatever is in your room when you get there needs to stay in there. So we're not using these extra bed frames, the ones that we just removed, but we need to keep them somewhere. Unfortunately, they don't fit under our bed, but what we did is we just took all four and stacked them up against the wall in a corner, put one of the beds up against that, and it really just keeps them out of the way and it's not a problem. Then you just put the safety rail back on the bed and then put your mattress back on. Be careful when you're putting that mattress back on. We had the safety rail fall a few times, so just know until you get that mattress in there, it doesn't feel completely stabilized, so just be careful. Well, that's it. It's really not too hard if you just understand how these beds are put together and the basic process for taking one that's all the way at the top and lowering it down to kind of that 35-ish inches above the floor level. Hopefully this video will help you if you're getting ready to do this as well.